Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for being here today, participating in today's discussion. We're going to talk a little bit about challenges today. We're going to talk a little bit about the outlook for 2014 and HSMAI. So to get started, what do you see today as the biggest challenge in the role of revenue managers today? Elizabeth, would you like to start?
Thank you. Honestly, the human capital is our biggest concerns as we look forward. The complexity of distribution and the speed in which it's changing is definitely moving much faster than we're finding the younger generation coming into the revenue management and pricing. And the multiple disciplines that we have to know just enough about with very little experience as they're coming into the market is really creating some challenges in getting them exposed to the other disciplines.
You know, we're seeing the same thing with also aligned with talent is not having the resources to be able to educate them, especially on the total revenue management side of being able to optimize and to make sure we're making the right decisions for profitability and having those being made on an hourly or by minute basis on business decisions for qualifying business and how those revenue directors or managers are educated or have the software to be able to make those decisions effectively. And whether that be brand resources or just external resources, it's an independent property. We're finding that lacking and challenging right now.
Very good.
Yeah, someone recently asked me what keeps me up at night as it relates to my role in revenue management, and I often say, you know, when my boss hired me here, he termed my title yield manager instead of revenue manager, and I didn't think too much of it, but in hindsight, I get it now, in that as revenue managers, we are tasked to do a lot more than top line driving these days, and one of them, what keeps me up at night, frankly, is concession creep, and my role in concession mitigation, which is to slow it down. You know, rates you can push as far as you can push. It's the market will dictate what you can do often, and then it comes to, you know, the meeting planners are savvy these days and becoming more savvy and asking for more. And frankly, getting it from some of our competitors, so that puts us in an unenviable situation in which, you know, do you match or do you push back, or what do you do? One PERS, food and beverage discounts, transportation, food and beverage, and the list goes on. Rebates, which is was heard a lot today in the earlier conversations, as sort of a continuing trend that we'd like to see reverse, frankly. So it's certainly a task of mine going forward is to have a major role in partnering with sales, because our revenue management sales disciplines are so intertwined these days, in marketing as well, frankly. But certainly to partner with my VPs in both of those markets, both of those disciplines to slow this down. And frankly, it's our fiduciary responsibility as revenue managers to really think about the bottom line. So I'm thankful, like I said, about the title yield manager, because it really speaks to what we're responsible for, and it's taking greenbacks to the bankers.
Thank you.
Both of you mentioned human resource issues and training, and I think one of my biggest challenges or opportunities with revenue management is there are so many. I have more than 5,000 hotels in the economy space where there isn't dedicated revenue managers, and there is a complexity of channels and distribution and costs and where the business is coming in from, that I take it as a responsibility to teach the owners and operators, and a way to communicate and educate them on what revenue management is and how they can, you know, maximize the revenue coming through their doors. So that's probably the biggest for me.
Very good. You know, here we are in December, so all have spent a lot of time making projections for 2014. From your vantage point, what's top of mind for 2014?
Top of mind for our company, being in destinations where airlift is required to visit us. I am so focused on the airlift, the pricing of the airlines, the seat capacity, what their occupancy is per se, how long are the layovers, because now more than ever, people are having to make multiple stops to get to their destinations. So without the airlines being successful, with a recent merger, it continues to become a smaller playing field, which is really impacting how they price, which is ultimately impacting the guests that are choosing to travel from a leisure perspective versus business. Be an interesting year.
Outlook, anything to add on Outlook?
Outlook looks very healthy. Again, we need those airline seats, but the consumers, thankfully, are still deeming that spending their vacation time leaving the house, no longer relying on a staycation to get their mental rebalancing before they go back to work. So we're thankful for that. Hopefully they'll keep spending in the new year.
Thank you.
In the majority of the markets that we operate, there has been supply growth, which there hasn't really been in quite a while. So in most of our markets, we're projecting a very healthy growth in ADR with stable occupancy because of the supply growth. And we all know that when there's new supply entering the market, that triggers somewhat of for a period of time, a discount trial basis where they're trying to get business in. So it's going to be challenging to be able to grow our ADR aligned with our projections in most of our markets and to be effective with that with supply growth. And of course, along with that is the negotiating part of that. Anything that is a part of an RFP, a commercial negotiator or national local accounts, we're seeing them come back with not as healthy of an increase that we wanted to get or that we deserved, since taking such a backseat to that growth in the past 3 years. So we're hoping that we're going to see ADR from those negotiated segments, and then definitely push ahead with revenue management being the leader in driving total profit yield and ADR growth.
14 for us is about meeting space optimization, I want to say. Arguably our most valuable fixed asset. If we burden the space and concede too much on a pre or a post, it impacts our ability to put the next group, layer the next group on top. And we only have so much leisure and transient corporate demand, and we know what it is. It's tried and true. We've got great trend analysis, and we got to have that perfect layer of group in, week out. And when we don't have it, it's impossible to optimize. So we're going to advanced lengths from a software perspective, technology perspective, and getting our feet wet in that space on meeting space optimization. So 14 is going to be a year to really perfect that.
For us in 14, on the quantitative side, we're also probably going to be seeing marginal occupancy increases and really counting on ADR. So making sure that we're doing the things not just from a retail pricing, but from a discount strategy and promotions and what we're doing to get the rate that we need to bring to the bank at the end of the year. It's also going to be a great year of collaboration, as we've had some organizational changes that really bring together all of the revenue generating departments together. So it should be a lot of fun next year.
Let's talk for a moment about HSMAI. Looking at this association, what benefits do you see in HSMAI?
Yeah, the benefits are definitely tremendous. The local chapters, without them, we truly would not have a way to reach as many people in our industry. And the fact that HSMAI puts so much investment in training and knowledge sharing, which is tremendous because there are many brands and they're fabulous. But the bottom line is additional perspective and discipline perspective, I think, is vital. So without those local chapters to help us deliver, HSMAI would not be where it is without them. So good perspective.
And I would agree. By far, it is the educational aspect, the accessibility. The new marketing has allowed that, whether through presentations on webinars to also the chapter events, which have dramatically improved. As well as the engagement of the knowledge and those that use the Knowledge Center. And it's the reliable go-to source. I think it's much more credible than it ever has been as far as individuals that, instead of them saying, well, there's no place or if I go to a brand for information or resources, I think HSMAI has become really the go-to source, at least for my team.
Well, I'm a fan. Yeah. Both on, I'll speak to two tenants. First and foremost, the chapter. So having been a former member in both Washington, D.C. and Dallas, I can tell you that the meetings are fabulous. Get a lot of great interaction with fellow colleagues, great education. topics, and it's not strictly just with your, the hoteliers either. I'll give you an example. Washington D.C. The water tax. One of the meetings was held on the Odyssey, which is the water taxi that goes along the Potomac, and we got to meet with those folks, and then fostered a relationship with those folks, having done that. And then on the boat itself, I want to say one of the OTAs gave a presentation. So a lot of interaction, colleagues, education, etc. And then most certification, I think, is absolutely fabulous. Have a couple of them myself, and big fan of the CRME, of course, Certified Revenue Management Executive Program, and to continue teaching that and fostering that for sort of the younger generation, if you will. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of HSMAI, and glad to see where it's going. We're going in a lot of great directions.
Right. Thank you.
I think the exposure to, I want to say like-minded, but the benefit is actually in the differences, and the different ways different companies and different disciplines approach similar problems and similar issues to push through. I know that this year the webinar series for my staff, when we talk about how do we develop stronger leadership and smarter leaders, is that it would make me very happy after the webinar, like usually the next day, whoever on my team was in charge of like participating and going would send out the notes and what they gleaned from it, and there would be conversations. So it's taking that stuff and making it alive back in our corporate headquarters, and having the hotels benefit from that.
Thank you.